Hello, I've just booked my flights and accommodation to go to Glasgow and Edinburgh for a couple of days. I'm flying out tonight, and then I've got Friday, Saturday and all day Sunday to go from Edinburgh and Glasgow as I choose. The purpose of this getaway is to do some fine art architectural photography. By that I mean, I've got a few examples behind me. These are a mixture of images that I've taken. So this is in London, this is Berlin, Berlin, Birmingham, London, London, Berlin, London. If you can see that. This is taken in Valencia. So I'm going to Glasgow because I've seen some images online. I think they look pretty impressive, and they are the types of buildings that suit fine art architectural photography. If you want to see those images, which I've printed on my wall back here, they are on my website. If you go to benharveyphotography.co.uk, and then if you click on fine art, which is the categories on the right hand side, it will take you to a selection of my favourite images. On Saturday, Glasgow is supposed to be raining, so I'll stay in Edinburgh and do a bit of sightseeing. So that's kind of dictated where I'm going to be and when. So Glasgow Friday, stay in Edinburgh Saturday, and if I miss anything or if Glasgow was so impressive I want to go back, that's what I'll be doing on Sunday. Through the power of video editing, I'll see you at the airport. So I've made it to Edinburgh on time. How is all of this yellow light working out for me? Good look. I'm going to get some sleep. See you in the morning. Good morning. I'm off to catch my first train. Like a bullet train. It's too early to say anything meaningful just yet, but bear with me. I'll talk to you when I get there.
Moving like the speed of sound. Keep on the ground.
The weather is still looking ideal for today. It is a combination of sunshine and clouds, which for long exposure photography, perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, we shall be arriving into Glasgow Central Station.
Welcome to Glasgow City Central. I'm going to go and grab a coffee, and then I'm going to go to my first location. This is the first building behind me, which is the Raddison Blu Hotel. I haven't got a coffee yet, so I'm just going to wait for the sun to come off a bit. That's a new building that I wasn't expecting. This is a bit of a busy junction to be taking photographs. I'm shaking, I'm not sure if it's excitement or whether it's the caffeine kicking in. But what I've got here is a 4-minute exposure. Doing a long exposure of this. I'm hoping that this taxi that's parked outside the front is going to move anytime soon. I've got some dappled light appearing on the building up here, which is not good for editing, so I'm going to have to move on after this shot.
Like a bullet train. Like a bullet train.
That's a great big slab of ice on the pavement. What's that all about? It is cold here, but it's not that cold. And for the record, 10 degrees Celsius in Scotland is colder than 10 degrees Celsius in England. Go figure. This building behind me was not on my list, but I like the look of it, so let's capture this. Check out these angles. That is one shiny building. Doesn't necessarily mean it will work as a photograph though. I'm not going to photograph this building for one reason, and that is that when you do the fine art photography, it really emphasises the imperfections in buildings. The cladding is so rippled, it's not going to make for a very good photograph. So on that basis, I'm out. I'm on my way to the SSE there are some letters and then Hydro after that. So I'm just taking a walk down there, and it has turned out to be a beautiful day. A beautiful day for sunbathing, but not a beautiful day for fine art photography. So I think what is going to have to happen, if that were to be the shot right there, I could do a long exposure of it and it wouldn't look any different at all. I think what we'll end up having to do, clone in some long exposure skies. I have no choice. I am here for a couple of days. I shouldn't be apologising. It's what happens. It's what Photoshop is for. The shot that I was doing earlier was a long exposure, purely for the fact that there was traffic and there was movement, and I was including the foreground as interest. But if you're pointing straight up at a building, the only thing you've got to take into consideration are people up in windows, aeroplanes, things like that, that give the game away that you've changed the sky. So over the next hour I strolled through the streets of Glasgow looking for some great architecture to photograph, but my end goal was west, about a mile towards the Riverside. I made it. Now this is a nice open space for photography. Gives us quite a few options. Thank you, architects. They've made my life as a photographer a bit easier. And well, you can see I've got quite a lot of options. Try not to capture my own shadow in it. Hello. In terms of weather, nothing to report in terms of clouds. I'm currently waiting. This is a waiting game. I'm waiting for the taxis here to all go, if that is ever going to happen, so that I can get my shot of this building, symmetrical shot. In the meantime, I'll give you an update. I've been photographing the SSE Hydro behind me, and like I said earlier, it's got plenty of space around it, so it gives you options for your composition. I've seen a shot of it straight on so that you can read the SSE Hydro in front of it. You're going to need a wider angle lens. I've got a 24mm on me, and that's not wide enough to get the whole building in. So I'd say you're going to need, say, 16 or 18mm on full frame. I've also been approached by a member of staff here saying that I should have a permit. I won't do that. It looks like I'm wearing a hat. Building hat. He said that I should have a permit to do professional photography here. I'm not a professional photographer, I'm an architect. That's my story. That's the truth, actually. No clouds as promised by the weatherman, but I'm doing what I can with this situation. The benefits of shooting in October are that you get reasonable light throughout the entire day. Normally I would shoot landscapes and building at sunrise and sunset, but it's October, it's autumn, so you can get away with it. He's a terrible taxi driver. All of the other taxis are getting business and taking passengers, whereas he just wants to stay there and clean his taxi and get in my photo. Ah! So whilst we're here, I might as well talk you through my setup. Now what I've got on here, if you can see, I'm not precious about my camera so much so that I put a hat on it. This is to stop light leaking in when you're doing long exposures. Canon 5D Mark III, 24mm tilt shift lens. I've got a high-tech filter system holder, and I've got a 10-stop high-tech big stopper and a spirit level to make things straight. It is on a three-legged thing tripod which fits in my camera bag. Other than that, I've got a cable release, and then when I'm doing long exposures, essentially you're trying to stop light going in here during the long exposure because the sun is behind us. So you put that over the camera, stops the light going in, and you also need to be careful of the edges of the filter. If the sun is hitting this here, that will create light leakage problems in your photographs, so you want to avoid that. So what I do is, I create a shadow over the camera, and that's how you get clean long exposure photographs. benefits of carrying multiple cameras around. I've got the Canon doing the long exposure over here. I've got my other camera doing a time lapse across here, and I've got my handy Lumix, which always goes on my belt like a granddad, but it's always there. This is such a great location, and I'll tell you why this works for me. I'm from Brighton, I kind of gravitate towards the water, and having water in a long exposure, plus an awesome subject and moving skies and clouds, that's it, that's what makes an image for me. I just want to show you this whilst I've got this set up. There's more than one reason why I use this tilt shift lens. It's not just good for architectural photography. First of all, it's a very sharp lens. So this is the view, which as you can see at the moment, it's about half water and half building. The horizon's bang in the middle. Now that's not where I want it to be. Okay, so if you don't want so much, well, 50% of your image to be water, then you can shift the lens up. I left my camera exactly where it was now. That's 50-50, bit of an uncomfortable composition. Then you shift it up, loads of sky. If you're looking for coming to one place to photograph quite a few things, I could recommend this. These elevations here are south-facing. So that means you can photograph this most of the day. And the Riverside Museum, which I'm going to, I can see the elevation, which is also south-facing. That is me done on this side of the river. I'm going to go further down the river there to the Riverside Museum, which you can actually see from this bridge. The wind is starting to pick up a bit, which is not good for the audio, and it's not good for long exposures because the tripod's going to shake about. So another challenge that you have to deal with this genre. Once again, this location looks pretty generous on space around it, making my life a bit easier to photograph it. It's quite a generous forecourt. Look at this. They have, however, put a stinking great big bin in front of my photo. So this is the Riverside Museum. Definitely worth a visit. The building has two of these glass facades. One is north facing and one is south facing. The south facing one is on the river. You might be able to see in the background, 1 mile that way is where I came from earlier with the velodrome. So what I would suggest is shooting the museum building from the southern elevation, much easier. And a bonus for me, although the skies don't look too romantic right now, there are clouds, and what the clouds mean is that I can actually do the long exposures in camera and I don't have to fake it. Once I'm done here at the museum, I'm going to head back to where I came from, purely because I've got some clouds in the sky now. Now you could look back on this and say, if I get the shots now, then this morning was a complete waste of time because I won't use those images. Ideally, before I come here to photograph this, I want to know which way the facade faces that I'm going to shoot, which you can do on Google Images, but the thing is, every time you turn up, there's something different and unexpected. Like, I've seen somebody's photograph of the Armadillo down there. Since they took that photo, they've put a bus stop there. Totally ruins the photograph. So you can plan as much as you like through Google and 500px and Facebook, but until you're here you never really know what you're going to get. This is the perfect type of building for fine art photography. I've tried doing fine art on Regency buildings in Brighton, castles, things like that, but it doesn't suit it. Logistically, having a really sharp building like this as well makes it easier in Photoshop if you have to start manipulating and blending and things like that, because you need sharp edges to cut out. So if you were to take this building in Photoshop and cut it out, it's got nice sharp edges. This is why I choose to use these sorts of buildings in my fine art photography. back here. The light is fading. The sun has got half an hour, maybe 45 minutes left before it hits those buildings over there. I've got a 10-stop filter on the camera and that was getting me 30 seconds. That's not long enough. So I've swapped it for a 16-stop. It's quite a big leap and I haven't got anywhere in between. And so I've gone from a 30-second exposure now to a 5-minute exposure. Pressure's on, sun's going down, 5-minute photographs. If you take a 5-minute photograph and you don't like it, you've got to wait another 5 minutes. So, this is it. That is my subject. I'm doing a long exposure, 4 minutes I think. I've been standing all day, so I'm just sitting, lying in a car park. I could do with a foot massage, a pint right now. I would love to stay and watch this glow, however, the sky is not going to happen tonight. I'm going to head back to base. Coming up on day 2 in Scotland, I climb a really big hill and my hair gets a personality of its own. I take some fine art photographs of the Parliament building. I visit the castle and lots more. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.